Hey everyone, I am THPine and welcome to Factorio. What is Factorio, you ask? I like to call it a real-time strategy production line survival game. It's available in Steam Early Access and this is what it looks like. So, the goal of the game is to survive. We crash landed on a planet, but luckily for us, we are a master builder and we can build all sorts of machines. We have to gather resources and stuff like that and craft things. And all of that stuff is fairly complex and takes a while, but luckily, as I said, we can build huge machines and conveyor belts and stuff like that to automate those tasks. So we're in the campaign mode here right now. I'm going to talk about the different game modes later. The goal here is to build a radar station to scan the surrounding areas. To do that, though, we need a bunch of other stuff. First off, we have to get our energy production going. So a few things are built up here already. We have a steam engine and a bunch of boilers. And what we're lacking right now is a pump, an offshore pump. So we can go to our inventory and crafting screen. And we select the offshore pump and left click it and we'll automatically start crafting the ingredients we need down here and then crafting the offshore pump in the end. This takes a few seconds and when I first... This is the right correction. No, it's not the right correction. It is? No, it is not. This is too low. We have to place it there. It's a little... There we go. That looks better. Yeah, okay. Stop tutorial. Don't tutorialize me. The crafting takes a few seconds, and I first was like, why is that there? But there's actually a good reason for that, because crafting taking a while, especially for more complex objects, will actually force you into building production lines and automate the process. That actually doesn't force you, but it strongly encourages you, because if you, for example, for research, you need a bunch of research potions you have to craft, like a lot of them. And if you all of them craft them with your guy manually, it will take a long time. But you can build craft machines later, or assembly machines they're called, and automate the process. And that's the whole point of the game, having those tasks and having the need and the means to automate them and build big production lines. So now we have water, and water is supposed to be heated up by the boilers, but the boilers are not, don't have energy yet. So we need some coal to get them burning. So we can't select coal from this chest, I believe. No, the chest is empty. I guess we have to craft some then. Yeah. It's getting nighttime now, so it's a little annoying. Let's actually collect some coal. Do we have coal? Oh, we have coal. Never mind. Okay. Let's just select the boiler then and put the coal in there. This should probably be enough to have one boiler running. Yeah, there we go. Oh, God damn it, tutorial. Sorry, but this is the best level to actually explain the game. So bear with me and ignore the tutorial. I will explain it. So now the boiler is producing water. We don't need all the boilers because we only have one steam engine. If you put multiple steam engines in a row, you will need to have multiple boilers to actually get the water hot enough to keep them all running on full performance. But we have enough water right now, so that's good. So what we need now is to get electricity from the steam engine to our electric mining drill. God damn it, God damn it, those jumped me. Yeah, I'm not scared at all. Okay. What the fuck? Yeah, that happens. You sometimes get attacked. I said it's a survival game. And that makes sense as well, but I'm talking about that later as well. So we need electricity for our mining drill. And we have the steam engine, but we have to connect it with, no, not with the electric mining drill, with those poles. So build some small electric poles. Oh, actually we need wood for that. Okay, I guess we chop some trees then. So you can do all the things manually with just your guy. Getting all the resources, I could go here and mine some coal if I want to, but this will take a while. And obviously, and the game is like set up in a way that you really have to do those things quite a lot, and so it's not reasonable to do it manually. So we put this over here. This should power both the mining drill and the what's it called? The inserter, right? So what do we have here? We have a like mining drill. Yes, I know. Thanks. God damn it. Which will mine the resources from the coal. We have, as you can see on the right, more than, like, no, not more than, but 12,000k, 12,000k, yeah, 12,000 units of coal left on the field for the mining drill here. So it will produce another 12,000 coal, which is quite a lot. So that's okay. And the coal will go to this conveyor belt, and then this inserter will pick up the coal and put it in this wooden chest, and we can collect it from the chest and put it into the boiler. We could automate this process as well, actually. Let's not do that right now because that's probably kind of a waste. Well, it's not really a waste. We could do that. Let's do that. Why not? So actually, we can just. How do we do this? And what's the best way of doing this? I have an idea. Okay, what we do is we pick up all this stuff first. So then we take some conveyors and rotate them around. Get them up here. There we go, something like this. And what we do now is we take one inserter and put it here. And this will, as soon as it gets power, which it doesn't right now, let's get another thing of this here. Put coal into this boiler. And I'm not sure if it will do this unlimitedly. It might, which might be a problem. That would be a problem in my plan. No, it doesn't. It just puts a bunch of coal in there, and as soon as the boiler starts using up that coal, it will put more coal in there. But right now it's stopped, as you can see. So now we can put the chest over here and put another inserter over here, and we'll pick up all the remaining coal as soon as it gets power. We have to readjust our electric poles a little bit. Oh god, attacked again. Die, 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 die. There we go. No, this one hasn't power anymore. Oh god damn it. Can we please place this correctly? You can see like the green area on the surrounding the pole, which shows you the area which is it is powering up. Sorry for the brain freeze. I was thinking about how the boilers work, but this one is out of coal now, so it should stop working in a moment. And this means this one will start working and heating up the water because it gets cold water, and this will then start using up the coal, and this will make the inserter put more coal in there. So we automate this process, and all the coal we get, like all the remaining coal, will be put into this chest, and we can collect it and use it for other things. So that's how a basic production cycle works, for example. So what we're supposed to do right now, get resources, iron plates and copper plates. Okay, so we now have to do the same thing or a similar thing for iron and copper. So let's start with the copper down here. So we put a mining drill over here. You could put, like, a good idea usually if you need more resources is to put multiple mining drills next to each other and have them all connected with one conveyor belt and have an insert at the end, which picks up the resources. There you see, now the other boiler is working, and as soon as it uses up another coal, this inserter will pick up another coal and put it in there, so we're not running out of energy anytime soon. Okay, cool. So instead of using a conveyor belt, if you only have one mining drill, it's easier to just do something like this. Do we have a chest? No, we don't have a chest. We need chests. Let's craft a few more. Actually, that was one too many, but doesn't matter. We can chop some more trees. Because we need a little more wood, because we need more not mining drills, poles, electric poles. So let's chop a little more wood, a little more wood, and connect that stuff as well. So this is how the base mechanics work, and the game is very well paced in the sense that these first 3 tutorial campaign missions are actually teaching you all the basics. And then you are supposed to either go to the free play mode or to the campaign modes, and I will show you the first level of the first campaign in a moment. Well, let me first continue what we started here. Let's do this. By the way, the controls work very well, I have to say. Like, they're not always super intuitive. There are a bunch of hotkeys and stuff like that. For example, I press Q to clean up my mouse cursor, and you can press Control left click on a box to get what everything that is in there. And that's like, the controls were good, but they're not super intuitive. However, you can look up look up all of them, and there are some tips and stuff as well that explain them to you. Getting attacked again. Yeah, the game just told us to build a better gun, and we'll probably have to do that at some point, but I don't think we can afford that right now. No, we need more iron plates and stuff like that. Actually, putting them in a box doesn't make too much sense. Let's actually pick up that box, because that's not what I want. I actually want a furnace here, because the furnace will now, well, it uses coal, which we have to put in there, but it will now create copper plates, which we then can pick up. We could also put another inserter here and pick up the copper plates from the furnace and put them somewhere else, for example into assembly machine or something like that. So this is how it goes. So you do the same thing here. You produce resources, you put them in assembly machines and build other things that you then again put into assembly machines and build other things and stuff like that. You have can do research. You need research potions for that, which is another resource you have to build basically, and stuff like that. So that's how the basic mechanics works. And now let me show you what I mean with good pacing. So we go to the main menu, quit game, and we go to start campaign. We're starting so this was the first step campaign, has 3 levels. That's the tutorial basically, and then we go to the New Hope campaign. So keep in mind when you play this for the first time, so at this point you learned all the basic mechanics, but you did not build anything crazy yet. So you did play around with a bunch of stuff, especially in the 3rd mission. You have to build a little bit more complex systems, but nothing really crazy yet. And then you go to the New Hope campaign and start this level 1. We go normal right now because I don't want to be bothered by too many enemies, and you get thrown in here. And at first you're maybe a little scared. What is all of this shit? The cool thing about this is a pretty big and pretty complex production line. I guess it's not actually that big, but in comparison to what is possible in this game, but in comparison to what we have seen so far, this is pretty huge and pretty impressive. It's very unlikely that you build anything even close to that in the first 3 levels of the tutorial. And I think this is a pretty good way of showing and not teaching, well, teaching by showing the player what is possible in this game and helping him understand this, especially because the first few steps in this mission, or in general, to beat this mission, this campaign mission, you don't really have to build much more stuff. You will probably build a few more things later down the line in the level, like near the end, but for the first few minutes you don't have to build new stuff. You just have to change around a few things, because you have those assembly machines over here, and this one produces gears, and those gears are automatically put into this assembly machine, which produces conveyor belts, well, transport belts they're called. And you need other stuff though, like, because you have a bunch of transport belts already, so you don't need too many of those. So if you pick them up, no, that's actually iron plates. Oh, they're in here. Another 40 transport belts. We have a lot of them now, 90 in total, and that's a lot. We probably don't need all of those, so it's probably wise to stop this production and put it to something else. And you see the crafting menu just changed a little bit as soon as we left the tutorial, because now we have multiple categories, because the game has way more items than this. If you can research a bunch of stuff. Let's actually get a research station so I can maybe show you the research stuff. So the goal is, I think in this level, if I remember correctly, yeah, craft and build a lab. Yeah, we're supposed to build a lab so we can research the radar station. No, we actually researched the car. Yeah, that's the goal, right? Radar station was the last tutorial level. So the goal is to get to this car automobilism. We have to research that. In order to get that, we have to get logistics 2 and engine, and to get logistics 2 we need logistics 1, which we can get right now already. But to get engine we need steel processing and automation 2. For automation 2 we need electronics. For electronics we need automation. So there are a bunch of research, different research you can get, and all of them unlock new items. And in total, I don't know how many items there are, but there are a lot of different items, like quite a bit. As I said earlier, however, to get the research going, we need those research packs, science packs they're called. I think I called them research potions earlier. So you need those science packs, and you can craft them on your own, sure. Where are they? There. I can craft them, there we go. It takes a few seconds and it will craft a science pack. But it's fairly slow. So the idea is to obviously automate this. And we need, what do we need? Copper plate and a gear. So what we can do, for example, is we can change this to science packs. And now, so okay, we get gears in already. This production line is bringing iron plates. Now you can either pick up the copper plates over here manually and just throw them in there. You can do that. And now it starts producing science pack. Or you can change the conveyor lines around and get the copper there automatically, which is obviously the desired way to do, because you have to research a lot and you need a lot of science pack. Later you need the science packs level 2, and those will take even more resources to craft, and you probably need more complex assembly line combinations as well. And as I said, I think this level is a really good way of showing the player what he can do in this game without like forcing him to do it on his own. And it's a pretty good way of showing of introducing those mechanics and letting you play around with the existing set of a production line and giving you an idea of how to do things as well. Like if you take a look here, what is all this stuff doing? It's pretty dark right now because of night. Sorry for that. But this is mining a lot of coal. Okay, the coal is going in this direction and this direction, and this coal is going all up here and is putting into those boilers automatically. And those boilers will heat up the water, which will get our electricity running. So this is this. And then we have other stuff, and you can take a look here at how the iron and the coal come together here and are put into those furnaces by inserters automatically again, and taken out as well by inserters. And so, yeah, as I said, it explains it by just showing it and gives you an idea of what you can do. And I think this is pretty well paced. And in the next level, actually, that's interesting as well, you will be at a base that is partially destroyed. It's even more, or it uses a few more mechanics or other mechanics that you are not introduced in this level yet, and items and stuff like that, and buildings. But part of the production line, or a big part of the production line, is destroyed because it's an overrun base. And your goal is to rebuild that base, and that's basically the next step. So in this level, or in the first few levels, you gain you're introduced to the mechanics. In this level, you're shown what is possible, and you can play around with it, but you're not really forced to build your own stuff. And the next one, you don't have to build your own stuff from the ground up, but you have to rebuild stuff and try to figure out how the stuff was looking when it was actually working. So I think this is really good. Level design, in my opinion, or pace for the game. But I'm talking a little bit too much about that, so let's switch topics. Is there any more about the core mechanics I want to talk about? Yeah, obviously, they are the enemies. So, in this level, you're getting attacked multiple times, and the waves get stronger and stronger. You see a bunch of dead bodies here already. So you have a bunch of turrets here, but you will have to build more than that later on, or you will get overrun at some point, which you obviously want to avoid, because then when you die, your game over. And if there are things destroy most of your base, you're probably done as well, because you have to keep those things, like these turrets, you have to keep them supplied with ammunition as well. They will run out of ammunition at some point, so you have to craft ammunition. So it's probably a good idea to automate that as well, maybe. Well, I think when I beat this level, I actually did not and just crafted the ammunition manually, because you don't need that much ammunition, but you could. And so I think it's a good idea to have those enemies in the game to keep you like a little bit on your toe. Because if that would not be there would not be a real fair state. It would still be kind of enjoyable to play, because it's always fun to build big production lines and stuff like that. But if you would play, like you're not actually forced. As soon as you have like a little pressure going on by having enemies that get stronger and stronger every night, or every day, I don't think they only attack at night, you're basically forced to speed up things by not doing everything on your own, and instead building those big production lines and automate things. So I think it's a good element in the game. However, if you dislike it, there are other game modes without enemies in there. So you can just build factories if you want to, without any pressure as well. And options are good in games, right? But I think it's a good addition to the base game. At first, when I saw them the first time, I was like, why is this here? But it actually makes sense after I played it a while. Similar to the crafting time thing, which makes sense when you actually understand what the game is about. But it might be a bit off-putting when you see it for the first few times. So I mentioned earlier, the controls are pretty good. They are a little unintuitive, but there are a lot of useful hotkeys and stuff like that, and you can do most things very, very easily. The crafting is especially cool because the crafting usually involves a lot of for the more complex item involves crafting a lot of items to craft them to new items and stuff like that, and you don't have to do that manually. You just click on one thing and it will craft all the things you need for that. Do we have a good example for that? No, those are pretty simple items. We didn't research any complex items yet, so no, we don't have a really good... Oh yeah, and some things you cannot actually craft manually. So some things have to be assembled in assembly machines, and obviously stuff like iron plates and stuff like that, you cannot craft it, you have to put them in furnaces. So you cannot do everything manually, but you could at least like build an assembly machine and put everything manually in there, but that's obviously not very efficient. I can't find a complex item right now because we did not actually research anything complex. But yeah, if you have something complex, you can click on it and it will automatically craft all this, the little things on its own as long as you have the resources, obviously. So yeah, the controls are cool, pretty slick, work well, but they could be a little bit more intuitive. But yeah, there's that. Let's actually jump out and talk about game modes and stuff like that. Let's take a look at the play menu. So first off, we have campaigns, 4 different ones, and they're actually very different. So the first one is the tutorial. It's three missions explaining you the core mechanics of the game. Then we have New Hope, which is basically the only one I actually would call a campaign. It's multiple levels that build up on each other and have a connected storyline. And yeah, so this is the main campaign, I would say. And then we have 2 puzzle campaigns. Well, actually not really campaigns. I'm not sure why they're under campaigns. Well, I guess because there are multiple levels in this and stuff like that. So this is a conveyor belt puzzle thingy. So you have to connect those boxes. So you have to connect the right box with the correct box on the other side. So this one has metal plates, and we have to connect it with this one by creating a bunch of conveyors and placing them down like this and and now if we would if we press start, those inserters start to put out their resources, and they have to get all over there in the other boxes. But it's a little tricky because, yeah, you have to use underground conveyors as well to make it work right. And if you beat this level, you will get to a more complex puzzle, and if you beat that, you get to an even complexer or even more complex puzzle, and so on. Okay, so this is basically a puzzle challenge mode, I would call it. And then we have another kind of challenge mode, which is this tight spot thing. It has multiple levels, actually, and difficulty modes. And this one works a little different. You can buy and sell items in the market. You're kind of in God mode, so you don't have a character running around. You can destroy those stone blocks, but it will cost you money. And the point is to build an automated system to produce the demanded gear, so the demanded items. So we need 10 iron gear wheels, for example, for this level. And basically you build the production line, and then you press start, and it has to, like, you win the level when it builds the demanded items, and this will unlock the next level. So this is actually a challenge mode. I think it's a proper name for this. And then we have new game, which is, I believe, what the original game mode for this game was. This was probably the first game mode implemented, and the rest was added on later. Basically, it's called free play. It even calls itself that way when you get into it. You have a bunch of parameters to adjust the generation of the map. For example, how many stones are on a map and stuff like that. You can activate the peaceful mode, which means there will be enemies on the map, but they will not attack you until you attack them. So if you don't attack them at all, it's kind of like, yeah, it's peace forever. So you will not be bothered by them. And the goal of this game mode, we can actually jump in really quickly, but I will not show you much. But the goal of this game mode, as this text box will explain to you, is to build a rocket silo and launching a rocket with a satellite. And yeah, that's the goal. So you start with nothing, except for a few resources. We have 8 iron plates, 1 furnace, and 1 burning mining drill. And you start building production lines and research stuff until you get the rocket silo and shoot the satellite into orbit. So, and if you did not activate peaceful mode, you have to defend off from the enemies. You can see there are some enemies on the map, the red dots. So that's the free play mode. As I said, I think this is the original game mode of the game, actually. And then we have scenarios, custom scenarios. If you go, I don't think there's any difference between clicking new game here, which is the free play mode, and actually selecting the free play mode in the scenario thing. This is actually exactly the same. These others are not, though. In the sandbox mode, this is actually a sandbox. It has the same map generation options, but when you start the game, you're similar to the challenge thingy in God mode. So you don't have a character. You can just build and collect stuff like this. There we go. We get some coal. We can build stuff and put it everywhere we want. Also, we can choose to get a starting chest, and we can choose to have all technologies researched. So I can actually show you all the items. That's a good idea. So we have a starting chest with a bunch of stuff in here. You can decide to not have that, though, if you don't want it. And we can take a look at all the items we can craft. So this is with all the technologies unlocked. That's I guess 5 times. That's around 40 items, I would say. Maybe not close, but no, not exactly, but 30 to 40 items. That's another 30 or so. And yeah, you see, this is easily way above 100 items in total. Probably around 150 or something. I don't know. Might be completely off. But easily above 100. So that's all the items in the game, which is quite a lot. And last but not least, we have another custom scenario, which is called Supply. And I actually forgot what that was about. Oh, right, yeah, it's basically another challenge mode again. So you have a timer running down here, and when this timer has run down, you have to build the required items for this level, which is 15 stone. And as soon as the timer runs out, you will be put into the next level, but it will activate the next level. You're not actually changing the map. You're staying on the same map, and now you have to produce 30 iron plates. And if you have them, it continues on. And you can either, if you get to 15 stone before the timer runs out, you can either start producing iron plates already, so preparing for the next level, or you can sell the remaining time for extra score. So this is basically a score attack mode, actually, not a challenge mode. I think score attack is the proper term for this. And you start with a bunch of stuff. Well, actually, only chests. I think you have to put the things in the chests, actually. So there are a bunch of different game modes. I personally enjoy with, by a mile, the main campaign. And I want to play more of this. However, this is an early access game, and what I usually do with those, I take a closer look at the beginning of the early access phase. Well, we're not really at the beginning anymore, but anyway, here's my video a little delayed, I guess. And then I ignore the game until it is fully released, and then enjoy it in its complete state. If I like the game. If I don't like the game, I will probably not play it anymore, but I will probably take another look when it releases to keep you guys updated on the state of the game. But for my personal enjoyment, what I don't like, I check the game when it enters early access, and if I like it, I will keep it away, not play it, not touch it at all until it's fully released, and then enjoy the full experience. That's what I do. So I want to play more of this campaign, but I'm not going to do that for the next few months, probably, because the game will be, like the dev said, 8 to 12 months. I'm not quite sure how long it is in early access already. I think 2 months or so, something along those lines. So it will be in early access for quite a time still. So yeah, a bunch of different game modes. I mentioned there will be more game modes actually later when the game actually releases. I think they will add more. At least that's what I expect. You can actually watch replays from your own game, so you can load your save game and watch the replay basically. And you can play multiplayer. This works on you just take a save file or start a new game, and you connect directly. Like one player is a host and he starts a game, and the other can directly connect with the IP address to that server and join the game. So you can play without a dedicated server by the developers or anything. It's just peer-to-peer. You connect computer directly connected to your friend's computer. And I think that's an interesting way of playing this game, because you can build those production lines together. Maybe one guy is going to supply energy and the other one is going for resources and so on. So pretty nice idea to have multiplayer in here. So that's cool as well. That's even more replayability. I would not call it content because multiplayer mode is not actually content, but you get the idea. Then we have even more. We have a map editor, so you can create a new map. It will generate, and then you can adjust the map and can change all the trees or the ground, the floor, and stuff like that. Let's build a bridge here, for example. Stuff like that. You can save the map and share it if you want to. Also, there are mods. I did not try any mods yet, but there is a fairly active modding community. However, it's not on Steam. There is because this game has no workshop integration for technical reasons. If I understood it correctly, they might change it at some point, but not anytime soon. So maybe there will be workshop support at release. I hope so, actually, because that helps the modding scene quite a bit usually. But right now, if you want to mod, you have to go to the website, or I think there's a Factorio mods website or something along those lines, where you can take all the mods where people created a bunch of extra items. I saw trains and stuff we have trains in the base game, but like more advanced trains with more complex systems. We actually can build more intelligent train thingies, stuff like that, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So a bunch of mods as well. So that's like the game has tons of replayability. Like there's multiplayer, there's a bunch of different game modes, there's mods, there's a map editor. Yeah, the options are infinite. You obviously at some points you might find the core mechanics boring, and at that point replayability doesn't mean anything anymore because you will just be bored anyway. But I think this game has it's pretty complex and has pretty deep systems, and therefore is quite enjoyable for quite a while. So yeah. Finally, let's take a look at the option menu, which is pretty impressive as well, I have to say. So the graphic settings have full screen and window mode, no borderless window. Actually, wait, is this borderless window? This is actually borderless window, so full screen is borderless window, never mind. So only real full screen is missing, which is usually not a problem for most people. Also, you can have a bunch of options for like clouds and smoke and stuff like that. You can change the scaling of the UI, which is always nice to have. Why is VSync on? Let's turn that off. And what else? You can change the screen and so on. There are 3 different graphic presets. It would be nice to have a little bit more actual options here, but I guess for a 2D game, it's not too important. And you can restrict how much video memory the game uses from your video card. So that's interesting as well. And light render quality. So the graphics menu is well, actually there's one obvious thing missing here, and that's resolution options. But if you it either will go to your full resolution if you activate full screen, or it will have a window which you can resize if you don't go full screen. So yeah, it would nice to have resolution options nonetheless though. Then we have a bunch of sound sliders, including a massive volume sound slider. So this is pretty amazing. You can do whatever you want with this. This is pretty good. We have a lot of rebindable keys as well. There are all the hotkeys I mentioned earlier, stuff like control click and stuff like that. It's actually not here, but somewhere else. I think here, control lift mouse button, inventory transfer. You can completely change that to whatever you want. You can change the quick bar slots, and yeah, you can change everything. So that's really cool as well. And what is another? Yeah, you have a bunch of well, I guess UI related things, tooltip delay, and a single player autosave interval. You can turn off the tips and tricks. It usually shows them at the beginning of a level, which explains you a bunch of shortcuts or hotkeys and stuff like that, and some tips and tricks. Well, that's what it's called. So explaining what tips and tricks is by calling it tips and tricks is not that useful, but I think you get the idea anyway. And yeah, you have a bunch of options here. So the option menu is very, very extensive, which is a good thing. And I think we talked about everything. So you probably guessed it, but I quite enjoyed the game so far. Mainly the campaign mode. But, well, we see. I will, as I said, I will not play it right now. So I'm going to decide what I want to play when the game actually releases. We're probably going to play through the campaign. If we have multiple campaigns, maybe through multiple campaigns, and then maybe give the free play mode a shot. If I still want to play more of the game. But right now there's a lot of content already. As I said, there's a bunch of replayability through all the different systems and multiplayer and map editor and mods and whatnot. So it's a pretty good package in my opinion. Obviously you have to like the core mechanics, which are, well, at least a little niche, I guess. But there are a lot of people who like that kind of stuff, like optimizing and micromanaging production lines and automating stuff and building big machines. It's always fun, right? Not to everyone, obviously, but a lot of people like that stuff. The game is actually fairly popular as well. Has a lot of concurrent players on Steam. And so, yeah, I totally recommend it. However, as always, I usually would wait for release. But if you want to dip in early, because I know a lot of people don't do it the way I do, that's what it is. I can totally recommend it. Nothing. I could not really put my finger on any big fault or obvious fault in this game. Yes, everything seems pretty good so far. The only thing is the tutorial is a little, like, it's not perfect. Like, the controls could be a little bit more intuitive, and the tutorial could be a little bit more, well, it's fairly interactive, but it could be, like, it doesn't explain you the tricks and tips are basically in the tips and tricks section. So it doesn't explain you all the hotkeys and stuff like that very well. So that could be improved a little bit as well, but that's minor nitpicking. So yeah, Factorio, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did so, feel free to press the like button below if you disliked the video. Obviously, you are free to press the dislike button as well. I am TH Pine. Thanks all for watching. Have fun and see you next time.